Good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Grab yourself something to drink, coffee or whatever you drink. Hopefully out of a Stone Mountain mug because everything tastes better out of them. And we're going to talk about what I think is the greatest danger in our world today in the West. What do you think is the greatest danger? Everybody's all absorbed with the Epstein files, right? I said yesterday, you're never going to know, and it is a big shell game they're playing, and if you're worried about that, you are wasting time and energy that you ought to be spending on something else. By the time I put this up, I will have already put up on our Patreon channel, and if you're not with us on that, you should be. The link is right down below. Only cost you $1 a month, and you'll learn a lot over there that you don't get on YouTube. I will have put up a number of short videos, some from Facebook, some from TikTok, some from, well, a variety of places, showing the growing global holy war being waged around the world, global, by militant Islam. And by just regular Islam. People think there's a big difference between militant Islam and Islam itself. There's not. Regular Islam that people like to think about is, the normal good people. They are the support troops for the militants. Don't fool yourself into thinking otherwise. Around the world, and you may be familiar with this, you know what's happened to Great Britain. And guys, this is coming to America. Now, so I know we have some viewers in the UK, and you know it's already destroyed your country. We have some viewers in Australia. And one of the things that I'll be putting up is how hundreds of Muslims, all dressed in black and doing their chants, surrounded a church in Melbourne and pretty much wouldn't allow Christians through to get into their church. Are you Americans aware of what's going on? I don't think most people are. And I think this is the greatest danger facing us today. The reason that it's facing us is because we have so many people who aren't involved and aren't weak. Well, are weak. Let me get back to this for just a second. You've seen what's happened in Great Britain. Got some guys weed eating back behind them. You've seen what's happened to Great Britain. You've seen that the Muslim influx into there, the Muslim invasion, the third world invasion, has resulted in grooming gangs and rape gangs and thousands of British women and girls being raped and groomed and taken into prostitution by Muslims. One of the things that I'll put up is, I think, is all of the cities in England or in the UK with Muslim mayors. You see this Mom Donnie that's running for mayor in New York. He might win. There's another guy that's running for mayor, a Somali, who's running for mayor in Minneapolis. Minnesota's already fallen. I know there's so many good people up in Minnesota. There are. It's just too bad. Good folks and beautiful state, and it has fallen because of the weakness of liberals. Who invite the enemy inside the tent. And so there's a guy up there named, Omar Fateh. He's a Somali, and he is probably more radical than Mom Donnie in New York. And I'd say he has a good chance of winning. He has a good chance of winning because of all the Somalis that now live in the Twin Cities area. Minneapolis, St. Cloud, they will fall. Minnesota probably will too. You know, some of you have read my books, right? You've read the Stonemont series. You read how I talk about after the collapse of everything, that so-called Somali self-styled caliph comes down from Minnesota down through Iowa into Nebraska towards Kansas, and wants to create his new caliphate, and his enslavement and the things that he does. I write some very realistic stuff in there that more people ought to read and understand what may be coming. And I write in there how it was handled. It's not going to be handled that way in the West. This is very possibly what may bring down the West. We see it not just in Great Britain, we see it in Germany, we see it in France, we see it in Ireland, we see it in Sweden, we see it in Spain, and in all of those countries, and we see it in Australia, we see it in Canada. It is a Muslim takeover of the country through the government process. This is how they do it. They don't necessarily, they're not taking over these countries with a tax. They're taking these countries over by outbreeding the native populations, the white populations, and establishing all of their mosques. We see it happening in Texas. You know that place down there that they're wanting to put in a Muslim city? I think that Abbott's pushing back against that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All across our country, Muslims are increasing their political influence. And when they get to a certain point, that's when you get no-go zones, that's when you get grooming gangs, that's when you get rape gangs, that's when your country starts to change into something you can't even believe. This Omar Fateh up in Minneapolis, he has promised to Trump-proof Minneapolis, defund the police, won't let the police cooperate with ICE. He wants rent controls. He wants every little communo-Islamic position he can think of. You see, the communists and the Islamists are working very close together because they have a common goal, and that is the downfall of Western civilization, the downfall of the West, the downfall of democratic republics, the downfall, to be real honest, of the white race. Ooh, did I just say that? I did. It's about time more people understand that. This country will fall if things don't change. Now, how much hope do I have? I'm being real serious here. I know I'm giving you a double scoop of reality here, and I hope that most of you will give this some thought. I'm not hopeful that most people will do a damn thing about it, because I haven't seen in the past that people have done a damn thing about it. I see a lot of talk. Boy, they better not come down here. We'll take care of them. We know how to. Well, no, I haven't seen any of that. I've seen a lot of talk. Very little action. Here's why they're going to succeed. Because most Americans won't fight back. Now, did that just shock you, infuriate you, make you mad at Uncle Steve? Well, the truth can make you mad if deep down underneath that shell that you're trying to keep as a facade that Americans will rise up, you recognize that the truth is the truth. We are seeing, very interestingly, Spain of all places, the Spanish people are rising up. These Muslims get thousands of people and they march through the streets in intimidation of the native population. And we're seeing pushback in some of these countries. We're seeing a lot of pushback in Spain, to where the Spanish people are coming out and doing the same thing against Islam. We're seeing, to an extent, the same thing in France. We're seeing it in Ireland. Now, the funny thing, a friend of mine sent me something about what's going on in Irish, and I told him, I said, now, and this is from a guy who was involved in the Irish struggle for many years. The Irish love to fight, but the Irish, as they are today, are pretty much socialists at heart. And they may be responding to this Muslim incursion, but the Irish, as much as they love to fight, they're great at starting fights. They're not that good at finishing them. I just leave that there. I know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend all my Irish friends, but I saw it. The Irish love a continuing struggle. I don't think they like to win, and that's too bad. And I don't think most Americans like to win anymore. You know? Mark Harrison sent me something this morning, a quote by Thomas Jefferson, and I won't get it exactly right. He says that a country must have its citizens armed in order to avoid the necessity for a standing army. Okay. Well, we have a lot of people out there with a lot of guns. We don't have a lot of people out there who are willing to stand up against what's happening. And right now, it's made a lot more people mad. You don't know what you're talking about. I'll stand up. Yeah, have you? Have you? You see, this is what I'm saying. The Muslim incursion into America, into all of your countries, wherever you are, they're doing it with numbers, and they're doing it with politics. How many of you have become politically involved to fight against it? I'm waiting. I see one hand far in the back. How about the rest of you who are always talking about, you wearing your t-shirts, 2A t-shirts. I'll stand up. You're not standing up now. You're not going to make me believe you will. You're not. Because you won't become politically involved. Too many people in the prepper world. How many people do you know say, I don't vote? Politics is all a sham. Just look at Epstein. They're both two wings on the same bird. I told somebody else the other day who said something like that. I said, if that's what you think, you haven't been paying attention. You've just been listening to crap on the internet, and you haven't been willing to think for yourself. Our country very well may fall because Americans won't stand up politically. Americans, like everybody else, love to say how they'll fight. Oh yeah, Americans will fight once there's a world war, and we'll ship our young people over halfway across the damn world to fight somebody else's fight. Oh, Americans will fight. Yeah, we'll go win all of Europe's wars. They start this shit and they get us into it, and we'll go over there. Yeah, we'll fight it. We will sacrifice entire generations of our young people. And the ones who do come back all screwed up. Oh, we'll do that. But Americans won't stand up and fight politically. You know why? It's just too hard. Because Americans, I don't think anymore, think deeply enough to really hold to a political position or an opinion. One of the other things that I put up today on the Patreon channel was Edmund Burke's famous saying, all that's necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And I say in my books, and I've said this before, I have Jim Wyatt say it, but in my opinion, in the face of evil, if somebody won't do anything, they're not good. So good men do something in the face of evil. If you don't do anything, you're not a good man. You're not a good woman. You're just letting it kind of go. Oh, I don't believe this is that big a deal. Here again, look at Minnesota. Good people, nice people. Socialist, most of them. Those of you, Kevin Altapeter out there in the good part of Minnesota, and everybody else out there in the good part of Minnesota, I know you're not like that. But acres don't vote, people do. Okay? And we can look at that map all we want to. And I know people love looking at that map. Well, look at this map. The whole country is red, except for these little blue spots. 98% of the country, no, 98% of the acres may be red. Half of those have got nothing in them but jackrabbits and rattlesnakes. It's people that vote, and people who are involved politically. Islam is taking over city after city after city. And if you live in a small town, don't think that it won't affect you. It will. It will. Because they will start taking over state legislatures. And your little town of 10,000 people, and I know to some of you, a town of 10,000 is a big city. No. And you start hearing that in the morning. Yeah. Because your city council, because they moved 300 Muslims into your city, and every one of the Muslims is voting, and every one of them, they're out there, and Americans won't stand up against it. They will take over your little town, just like they're taking over big cities. That's what they want. You see, their purpose is global Islamization. There's a couple of countries who don't put up with that shit. Excuse the language. Russia and China. But we will. Because we're just too fair to take a stand. I saw it was perfect. It was a perfect example of this. I was down at Aldi the other day, and there was a white woman and a Muslim woman came out of two different aisles and came together at that spot. They hadn't seen, and the white woman said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And the Muslim woman just looked at her, just scathing, with this superior, almost militant superiority. Just glared at her. Muslim woman had a couple little kids with her. That's a perfect example of what's going on in our country. The Muslims know what they want, and they're taking it. Americans have become different than Americans used to be. The vast majority of Americans, and this doesn't apply to everybody, the vast majority, but because it applies to the vast number of Americans, that's what carries the day. The vast number of Americans have become a bunch of rollovers. They'll roll over. "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry." What's it going to take for America to stand up against this? We're going to see what it's going to take. We're going to see what's happening in these other countries around the world. Spain, France, Great Britain. Tommy Robinson stood up against this stuff years ago. Look what happened to him. They threw him in jail. Ireland, Sweden. They wait until it's too late, until their countries have already almost been destroyed, and then they get all upset. The time to handle a problem is when it's small. It's not small anymore here in the United States, or your country probably, but it's not as big as it's gonna be if something isn't done. And it's up to you to do what needs to be done, and that means get involved politically. I mean, hell, look at all the Americans anymore. They have 1 and 2 kids, or no kids. Disgusting. It's disgusting. I am ready to carve out a part of the, I was going to say the Midwest, because we got a lot of good people. You know, I'll take the Dakotas and Nebraska, some of Minnesota, some of Iowa, all of Kansas, Missouri except for the cities, Oklahoma, Arkansas, northern Texas. I know there's a lot of other good people out there. I'm just ready to seal that off and say, this is America. I don't know what the hell's happening with the rest of you. I don't mean that, because I mean there are just great people out west and out east and in Tennessee and in Florida. So please don't take that as me saying that I think that, you know, no. Wouldn't it be nice though if all of the good people, those who are willing to stand up and talk about this publicly and vote and get involved politically, wouldn't it be nice if all of those people could come together in one spot and start this damn thing over again? Restart America? You know, on the, yeah, I know, a lot of you going, yeah, that's right. And I know we all want it in our own state because we don't want to move, right? I get it. And the back of my first book, The Reversion, it says, the death of one society can be the birth of another. See that right there? You can read that. The death of one society. Are we going to allow this country to die so that we can become reborn out of its ashes? That may be what has to happen. Maybe that's the direction it's going. Maybe that's what the good Lord wants. I don't know. But I do know that it's happening because of the weakness of native populations. By that I mean the people who built these countries, America, Canada, Australia, Germany, France, Spain, Great Britain, Ireland, Sweden, wherever. You're being invaded, and you won't admit it. And as a result, you're going to be enslaved by those who are coming for you, and you don't even know it. You won't admit it yet. Guys, in my opinion, this is the greatest danger we face. The greatest. Stop thinking about Epstein, for crying out loud. You know, when people are consumed with something like that, it shows a small-mindedness. It really shows that they don't want to have to deal with things that they can actually have an effect on themselves, because you can't have an effect on that. You can have an effect on this. Are you politically involved? 95% of you are not. Will you become politically involved? 95% of those who are 95% not involved will not become politically involved. Get ready for your slavery, because that's what's coming. And the rest of us, the rest of you, get ready. Get ready. They're not going to, for the most part, take us over militarily. They're going to take us over politically. we will see what happens. Learn about this. I would suggest after you get done watching this video, go to the Patreon channel. If you're not a member of Patreon, join it, for crying out loud. $1. And watch this stuff I've putting up there. It will open your eyes, hopefully. And then, for crying out loud, get out and start doing something. Recognize the problem and then work toward fixing it. You can't fix a problem you don't realize exists. And then see what you're made of. Are you really made of the American spirit that you claim to be? Our forefathers, our founders, the American spirit out here in God's country. Are you really made of that? I think about 80% is just a bunch of big talk. Just because talk is so easy, isn't it? But there's some of you who are better than that. There are some of you who will do something. And what you will do is start learning about this. You will start talking about this. You will start talking about this with your friends. You might even start a YouTube channel and start talking about it. Or you might start leaving comments on other people's channels talking about it. Or you might write letters talking about it. Or you might run for office and do something about it. Because if you don't do anything about it, you got no right to whine and complain at how the country's going to hell. It's going to hell because you're not doing anything about it. All right? Okay. Hey, before I let you go, for the 5 people that I haven't ticked off, I want to remind you that if you haven't read them, this should be the very next thing that you read. My books, yes, my books. The Stonemont series, The Complete Guide to Preparing for, Surviving, and Rebuilding After a Total Collapse of Everything. We may be headed there. It's 7 novels: The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. And I just got a message today. I got an email from a guy that said, I know that, well, you can get them one or two ways, I'll tell you this. You can get them through Amazon. They get them to you pretty quick. But if you can also get them through me, and I love it when you do that. Get it through our website, stonemont.us. Here's a warning. We have had so many orders. We're still running about a month behind in order fulfillment. If you're willing to wait, I love it when you get it directly from me because I sign each one for you. I write a note in each one for you. You can get the whole set as a discount. You can't get the set as a set through Amazon. You can get it through our website. You get it as a discount because when we ship them out as a set, we save money and we pass those savings on to you. I toss in the Stonemont notebook in which you can write all your questions, all the things you've learned out of the books, all your, your shopping list, whatever you want, your preparedness plans. And I got... but you have to be willing to wait, like I said, about a month. I got an email today from a guy, and it was just great. He said, I bought your whole series through the website, but I wanted to get started on it quickly while I waited for my order to get to me. So I bought just the first one, the Reversion, a used copy online. You can get it used through Amazon or Goodreads or any number of those places. And he says, love it. We call it a cross between Atlas Shrugged and what did he say? Well, I forget. A cross between something. 1 Second After and Atlas Shrugged. Okay, that was it. And that's a pretty good. Yeah, that is a good description. So hey, if you want to order from me, and you say, "Gosh, if you wait a month, you'll still love getting them in a month. But if you want to get started on it, what a great idea this guy gave." He says, and I love the book. He says, we love the books. The book that he got it's they're about 2/3 of the way through the Reversion. But if you want to do that, order the set through me and buy a used first one. Buy a used reversion online so you can get started, and then by the time you're done with that, your books will be there pretty soon. So remember that, Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. Get ready. Be responsible for your own preparedness. Understand what's going on in the world. Be willing to take a stand for what's right and against what's wrong. Stop being concerned with all these idiotic things that all these people want you to be scared to death about. Get your mind off the things you can't do anything about, and get your mind and put your attention on the things you can do about, and ask the good Lord to guide you and direct you and strengthen you in doing that. He's where it starts, but he uses you to get it done. Okay? All right. You all have a good day. Remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So prepare, inform yourself, so that you'll be ready whatever happens, okay? All right. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.